On today's show, Kay drops the baby. I bet you already know what that means. Julie digs dirt out of her hairline, and Jennifer just asks lots of questions. I'm going to use these and other dreams on today's show to demonstrate how to break down dreams that seem meaningless. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello and welcome. Glad you're here.
This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and souls on their earth journey. And that's why we focus on dreams, because if you want to know what you're meant to be doing in your life right now at this very moment, then look no further than your dreams. To send your dreams to our show, go to dream-analysis.com/podcast, fill in the form there, or simply email your dream to radioshow@dream-analysis.com. Sandy, what have you got to say?
Well, let's start. In your intro and teaser, you said that Kay drops a baby, and you bet I already know what that means. I have no idea what that means, so I'm very curious. Tomorrow is the 4th of July. Guess what? We are still going to have the free dream clinic on the 4th of July at 9 a.m. If you want to, go to freedreamclinic.com to get more details. All right, Michael, back to you.
Why don't we just go straight into the dreams and the questions, and we can just take it from there, and I can explain what drop the baby means. It is an expression, isn't it? It certainly is in Ireland and England. Is it an expression in America? Have you said somebody dropped the baby?
No. If they drop the baby, I'm afraid they really dropped the baby. Okay. I have not heard that expression, though I could see when you drop the baby is like dropping a ball.
Exactly. All right, well, let's start off. You've got lots of the kind of mini dreams / questions from Jennifer. What have we got?
Yeah, so she sent a bunch of dreams, but also wanted to send an email with more general questions. So here's what she's saying. I am constantly dreaming about, and all of these things follow that. The first one is drinking, alcohol, drunk people.
Okay, so that's straightforward enough. We drink to suppress our feelings. Well, that's what it does. We suppress our inhibitions, but ultimately that works because it suppresses our feelings. And so drinking is about suppressing your feelings, and drunk people is also about suppressing your feelings. And it's going to be about you. It's not going to be about the other people in the dream. So something you're doing is suppressing your feelings, or you are suppressing them yourself. It's a really common theme in dreams. Everything ultimately in dreams boils down to a comment on the balance between masculine and feminine energy that you've got. And so drunk woman would be saying that your feminine energy is held back in some way. That's the best way to put it. So that's ultimately what it's about. What else have we got?
A workplace mixed with a university setting. Now that's an interesting one.
So university is about learning about yourself with a view to increasing your higher aspects, getting more into your spiritual nature, who you really are. Ultimately, we're all spiritual beings temporarily on the earth plane. So the highest thing, the most valuable thing we can ever do on the earth plane is access our higher aspects, our higher vibrations, etc., etc. And so university is great for that, to symbolize that, because it is a place of higher learning. And then if it's mixed with a workplace, then it's going to be spiritual career. So Jennifer is definitely meant to be doing something in the spiritual space.
Ooh, that's a cool dream. Alrighty, weddings.
Okay, I was waiting for more. Weddings are about uniting masculine and feminine aspects. It's a really good symbol for that. They're common in dreams for channels as well, though, because channeling requires both masculine and feminine energy working in balance. But it can show up in dreams for other reasons. If you are working on your feminine side and you dream about getting married to a woman, then that's great. It's about you are now embracing your feminine side, and vice versa for masculine.
Cool. Alrighty, next one. Losing my phone.
Phones are about communication. So something is going on. I know in the dream you lose the phone, but it's really saying that something has caused you to lose your ability to communicate with someone else. And it's almost always about communicating how you feel. So emotional expression is generally what it's going to be. Now, there is another case where phones come in if we're talking about spiritual dreams, and so there would be other symbols in that dream about birth or universities, etc., since we had university earlier. If you're losing a phone in that context, then there's something you need to do to reclaim your telepathic ability or your ability to communicate with spirits through thoughts.
That's cool. Alrighty, paying for things.
Okay, very common in dreams to be asked a silly price on something like here's an amazing pen and it's $3 as opposed to it's $3,000. So the price you're asked to pay shows it is reflective of the amount of energy you need to put into developing and using an ability. And so if something's just $3, it's saying you already have it, you just need to commit to doing it, so practice it. If it's $3,000, then it's okay, you've got to put a bit of energy into this in order to claim this gift. And again, the three about commitment. So the amount you pay is always significant. The numbers in what you pay is always significant too. But generally what we find we do is like you're told, hey, here's a beautiful green sweater or green whatever dress, and you can have it for just $70. And you say, no, I'll pay 40. And the 70 will be saying it's part of your spiritual nature. And the green dress in this context would be about having a counseling ability. And we always say something like, no, I don't want to do it. I want to restrict it, which is why we devalue it, because we devalue the gift. And then the amount we offer, like $40, is a total restriction, because 4 is about restriction. Does that make sense?
That was cool. Yes. And then the last part, my husband and my ex-husband morphing into each other. That would be freaky, Michael.
Yeah, we often think, all of us, I think we're all guilty of this at some point in time. We think that the issues in our lives are created by the people around us. And so our difficulty in relationships is, if we're dreaming about our ex or our current partner or even two exes, then it's like the dream is about our issues with relationships and we blame the people in those relationships. I've had people say to me, all men on the planet are, and I can't say the word because this is a family show, but that's not true. It just means that the men that this person is attracting into her life or is capable of seeing, fit that low category that she has. But that is going to be because of something that went on earlier in her life. Our first relationship is with Dad, and how well we get on with Dad, how well we're able to be ourselves and not have to change to try win his attention and affection, means we will be able to be ourselves in other relationships, when relationships later on in life. But when we see the two partners morphing, you can be assured then that it's not about a particular person. It's about your masculine side. Your masculine energy issues are an imbalance there. And then when we look at that, one of the key things that we do when we come here is we get Dad to move the needle of our masculine energy balance to match what it is already in the spirit world. And we get Mom to move the needle of our feminine energy imbalance. And so working on the issues around Dad is what's going to fix this. And that's why they morph.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that was definitely some insight there. Anyways, she continues and says, thanks so much for your radio show and your courses. I read your book several years ago and have been listening since, and I still learn new things every time I listen. Well, that's fabulous. Thank you, Jennifer, and we love those questions. So the next one is we're going to do the Dropping the Baby by Kay, which I find very interesting because that's not what I would say, but very good. Okay. It says, hi, I just heard your podcast and watched one of your classes on your website. I thought I'd send you a recent dream that baffles me. Thank you and plan to follow and learn more. Alrighty, Kay, here we go. I'm holding a young baby and cradling its head. Not sure if it's a boy or girl. It's wearing a white onesie. I get distracted and I drop the baby. It hit its head on the cement floor. It doesn't cry, but lies still on the floor. I'm immediately horrified at how irresponsible I've been to drop the small baby and am filled with terror that I might have injured it badly. I check its head and see a slight bruise on the right temple above the ear. On the floor beneath the baby, instead of blood, was a blue vapor or mist accumulating all around. I note that it feels like I am in the basement of my previous home 5 years ago where I had my art studio. Wow, Michael. Okay, go for it. This dream I'd wake up screaming after this one.
Holding the young baby. Babies in dreams represent responsibility. And we see them frequently in dreams. So dropping the baby is about dropping responsibility. So that's not a good thing. You do have a responsibility to do something that is depicted by the rest of what's in the dream. So what else have we got? You said it's wearing a white onesie. So white is about being hard on yourself. So you're hard on yourself. You're critical, judgmental. Well, let's put it this way. You probably try to be perfect. That's kind of what white is about. That I'm striving to be perfect at something and I'm never satisfied with how well I do in things. And so this is probably a general thing for you, that you're being hard or critical on yourself. So that's something you've got to solve with the onesie. Then you say you get distracted and drop the baby. Okay, that's a pity. We know what the dropping the baby is about now. You're dropping your responsibility or shirking your responsibility. Hits his head on the cement floor. Okay, there's more than just what I'm saying this dream is about. So do remember, if I cover your dream, you do get a free call with me. We can talk about more on this. But there's some issues with this. The cement floor, I may as well say part of it, is about your digestive system, problems with your digestive system. The baby doesn't cry but lies still on the floor. That's not good. So this is like something going back to childhood as well, is impacting you. Anyway, I'm horrified at how irresponsible I have been. No, I said babies represent responsibility. And you have said, even if we didn't know what dropping the baby is about, you said, I'm horrified at how irresponsible I've been. But now realize that the baby represents your pursuit of art. That's what it represents. And you've dropped that. And I wrote and asked that question. But let's continue on a little bit with the dream. You said you're filled with terror that you might have injured it badly. Okay, so again, realize it's all about your art ability now. I check its head and see a slight bruise on the right temple above the ear. So we have temple mentioned, which makes this a spiritual thing, because that's what temples are about. They're about celebration of God, whatever the religion is, etc., etc., etc. Even if you don't believe in that, you know what a temple is, and so it still applies. I know it's a temple on a head. Same thing, though. And the bruise is on the right side, so it means your confidence got knocked. Your masculine energy is what's out of balance here. So your artistic ability isn't in question, but your confidence in, let's say, running a business or developing that aspect probably took a beating. And so you could say, okay, well, I'm really good, but people aren't paying me enough money to do what I do. You could have a million reasons. And they would be fair things to complain about. They would. But what we've got to realize is we bring abilities with us. And the obstacles, I say this all the time, I didn't say it at the start of today's show, the obstacle is not in the way, it is the way. So your growth is in solving this masculine energy problem. That's where your growth is. And so when you realize that, it's like, okay, this is falling to pieces. I know it's falling to pieces. What do I need to do to work on myself so that I don't have this problem anymore? And that's where your growth is, because you have to work on yourself in order to fix this. Anyway, then you say, instead of on the floor beneath the baby, instead of blood, there's a blue vapor. And so blue is about expression. It's the color of this chakra, the throat chakra. And it symbolizes spirituality and philosophy of life. And spiritual expression, let's say, is really what blue is about. And so that's exactly what it is in this dream. So we know it's about expression of what's at your soul, what's at your core. And we all have that. What is the one thing that when we do it, we really light up, we shine in front of other people? And so your art is it for you. But even if we didn't know what it is, we would know there's something big here that is about your ability to express. But then you tell us. You said, I note that it feels like I'm in the basement of my previous home 5 years ago where I had my art studio. So I wrote and I asked Kay, was she still doing the art and had she stopped it? And if she had stopped it, why had she done that? And she said, I began my art practice in 1996 and operated it as a business until 2015. The 2008 recession hit me hard and I experienced a deep depression for a time as the business came back online until closing in December 2015. I had a feeling the dream was about my art. Of course it was, because of the location. It was the happiest and most challenging time of my life. Okay, so we could stop right there. Now she says more. But if this is what gives you happiness, what doing this makes you shine, then why would you stop it? Now I know you're going to say, and you do in your email, I lost a ton of money and I this and I that, and they're all true things. But don't let them stop you from expressing what's at your core. Ultimately, that's what it's about. That's what your life is about. So fix the obstacles. And we could say the same. Sandy and I in this business, we lost a ton of money. And we were right at the point where we said, this is not going to work. This can't be what you do, Michael, as a career. Like, you can do it as a sideline, but you can't do it as a career because we don't know how to make it work. And we were already at that point, and I was at the point of looking for a job back in the conventional field, which for me was software engineering, which pays handsomely. And it was really just fortuitous. A couple of things happened to block me from getting a job that I was a shoe-in for. I had all the qualifications. And then we went to an event run by a company called Mirasee, and we knew they had the answer. And I paid for coaching for other people before, but I got the coaching I needed from this company, and it just worked. It just worked out the gate. They knew what the problem was. They knew what I needed to work on. And again, for me, it's similar to you. I had to work on my masculine side. Anybody could give me a dream and I could tell them exactly what it meant. And I could really create a great space for somebody to feel comfortable in, no problem telling me what their issues were and me helping them through those issues. But for me to stand up and say, look, I am of value, that's masculine energy, I would crumble at that point. And that's where all my growth was, for me to develop myself, to use the gift that makes me shine. All right, so what else?
Before we go on, though, you got basement. So does that have to do with masculine energy, or is that the heart? What does basement mean?
Nothing, because that's where she had her art studio.
Okay.
And this is one of the complexities of interpreting a dream. You have to know what part of this is my normal life and what part of it isn't. And it would mean things. It would normally mean things for somebody in their dream. So you said it was the most challenging and happiest time of your life. You experienced tremendous personal growth, but it didn't roll out as you had hoped. It's all about our growth. So even if a business fails in the way it was, it doesn't matter. If you grew in the process, that's what it's all about. That's what you get to keep. You don't get to keep anything else. You don't get to keep the money that you earn when you pass on. So be happy for what you've done and be happy that you ever did it. A lot of people never do anything that is accessing the gift at all. And then you explained why you sold it and you had to lay off people. But it was quite a big endeavor. So when you said you had a studio in your basement, I was like, okay, this is fine. But you had trucks on the road, you had all sorts of stuff. It was massive. But I would suggest find another way to look at this again that is going to allow you be happy again in doing that. It doesn't have to be in the big scale that you did before. One of the things to realize is if you try help other people with your skill, like in the sense of you're employing them and they are making their living or probably going to become wealthy from working with you, you got to make sure that that's on their path. Because if it's not, we move down to the lowest common denominator. If somebody's not meant to get an easy road and you try to give them an easy road, then it ruins your future. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, I will send you the link. You can book me because we've used your dream, as many, many people do. It's a really good thing to get. What have we got next, Sandy?
So next we have Julie, and the title of her dream is Hairline. This was a short but upsetting dream. I noticed I have black spots and things that look like tiny stalagmites on my scalp and hairline. When I touched them, I pulled out huge handfuls of dirt. Ugh, Michael, what a horrible dream.
Okay, so the first thing when you look at the dream, you're going to think the stalagmites are about a problem with the scalp. And that's immediately what I thought. But when I channeled on it, the angel said, don't focus there. So I skipped it. But there was an issue there, as it turned out, and Julie shared. But it made me look at the rest. Because if I just said, okay, it's like psoriasis or something like that, I would have stopped at that and said, okay, do you have a problem with this? But because they said, don't focus there, I went further and I said, okay, how do we break this down? We have the black spots. So black is about fear. Hair is about thoughts. And so and a black spot, it would be kind of like, this is a bad event. If I look at something and say, that was a black spot in my life, you'd know that that's not a good time. And so here, I knew the black spot was a fear of some negative event. And then we have the stalagmites and pulling out dirt out of them when she touches them. So the dirt is about the elimination system, the colon. So something connected to that. So I wrote to her and I said, hey, Julie, do you have fears of a negative event connected to a need to cleanse. I said, I know it sounds out of left field, but it makes sense, like when you put all that together and when you understand the symbols. And she wrote back and said, no, not out of left field. I consulted your dream dictionary first. No fears related to a need to cleanse or the colon. I have, however, been thinking a lot about general health lately, and so this makes sense. I'm about to turn 45, feeling squarely middle-aged, and thought I probably need to clean up my diet and start eating healthier. That's what a cleanse is. I've also been experiencing more symptoms of scalp psoriasis and joint pain, which has me worried about arthritis. Okay, look at what we would have got from the dreams. The hair being about thoughts, the dirt being about the elimination system, and I said cleanse, but changing your diet is the same thing as a cleanse because it's going to resolve issues that you've been concerned about. But anyway, what's good is she pulls these out. She's taken loads of these out. So I would say, yes, changing the diet is going to be a good thing to do. But anyway, interesting to look at a dream, simple as that seems to make no sense. We can tease it apart, say, here's what it is about, and then we get confirmation from the dreamer that this is what's been going on, and it does match what you've said.
Wow, that was very interesting. For such a short dream, it was definitely pretty much to the punchline, and I think it would have had me screaming waking up too. Ooh. So let's dive into our next dream, and this is from Nicole, and it's titled Two Men in the Shower. My ex-boyfriend and I are strolling through the city. I see two ragged-looking men sleeping on the street. We pass them and go to our hotel room. My ex-boyfriend climbs into bed. Before climbing into bed with him, I decided to take a shower, but when I open the shower door, the two men we saw outside are now sleeping in the bathtub. The light wakes them up. Instead of the bathtub, they are now sitting in the shower room. I look at them for a moment and realize they look a whole lot better than they did outside on the street. They're not ragged at all and actually look like normal guys. They sit there looking at me and don't say anything, but I know they're hoping it's okay to stay where they are. I tell my ex-boyfriend, there are two men in the shower. Can you call the front desk? I want to take a shower and don't want them in there with me. I continue looking at them as they look back at me. They really do look all right. They're not threatening. I considered letting them stay, perhaps in the bedroom. I wake up before the situation is resolved. Now, Michael, that one's an interesting dream.
So this is a good one to show how you break a dream down. This dreamer is working on her masculine side, so it fits in with what we said earlier for Kate to do. And she's already in the process, not finished, but she's in it. And so typically when we're in the process of working on healing an imbalance, we will see both positive and negative men show up in a dream. So we have the ex-boyfriend, who for this dreamer is somewhat negative, but also positive, also very positive. It's like, this is the best relationship I had in a very long time. And then we see the two ragged looking men sleeping on the street. Well, they're really negative. They're going to represent a very poor view of your own masculine side. And she walks past them to the hotel room. Now, this says straight away that the issue comes from your reception at birth. Or, we know it's in childhood because of the hotel. It's not about, what's going on with that last boyfriend. You may think it is, but that's not the source. And she already knows that, and that's what we're working on issues around dad. And then the boyfriend climbs into bed, but she doesn't climb into bed with him. And ideally, that's what you will do in a dream. You will embrace your masculine side. But she doesn't. She wants to take a shower, and that's good because it's about healing everything that's gone on before. I want to cleanse or heal the issues to do with my own masculine energy, masculine imbalance. But when she opens the bathroom door, the two men from outside are in there. And so it's like, okay, well, that's good because that's what you need to cleanse. You need to heal your negative view of masculine energy so that you can then embrace it. She says, the light wakes them up. Good. We want to wake her masculine side up. That's part of the problem. It's asleep. It's not doing its job. I look at them and for a moment realize they look a whole lot better than they did outside on the street. So this is quite positive. So within a very short space in the dream, she's gone from like, oh, these are people I wouldn't even be near, to, they're looking kind of normal. These look like normal people now, not homeless people, not raggedy at all, as she says. Then They're looking at her, they don't say anything, but she knows that they want to stay there. And they do, of course, because they represent her masculine side. And her masculine energy is tired of being rejected and repelled by her. That's ultimately what it is. The work she's doing is having her masculine side show up in this dream saying, here I am, please embrace me. Of course, she doesn't get that far, but very, very close to it, because she says, I want to take a shower, but I don't want them with me, and maybe I'll let them stay in the bedroom. That's quite a good move. So she's gone from looking at homeless people to, it's okay if I let them into the room I'm in. And then she was going to call the front desk to get the issue resolved. Now, she doesn't get it resolved, but the front desk is like, that's the issue. The reception at the start of life, how dad accepted her, that's what she's got to work on. So calling the front desk is indeed the right thing to do. But anyway, it takes a dream that seems silly or making no sense. And when you understand what everything represents in it, or just the simple thread of the men representing her masculine side, all of them representing her masculine side, that we can see how beautiful the dream really is in what it's trying to achieve and how close she comes to it actually working properly for her in her life.
Yeah, but she woke up before the situation is resolved. So that means she still has more work to do?
She definitely has more work to do, but we know the therapy she's doing is working because of the fact that she didn't kick them out of the room.
Ah, got it. That's great. Wow. And then the number 2, of course.
So something bad happened to her around age 2 or 3, and that's one of the things we work on. But we are working on, but I'm not focusing on it in this dream. She knows what the event is, and it's given her a very negative view of men, which is very understandable for her.
Wow, that's great. And then we switch from a bathtub to a shower. Is there any significance in that?
Well, they're both to do with cleansing. The hotel tells us that this comes from way early on. She brought this with her, and that's what the womb is about. So her masculine energy is already asleep by the time she's in the womb, which is what the bathtub is. And now she's going to cleanse that, heal that. And so then moving from the bathtub to the shower is a perfect symbol. But I think I'm probably overcomplicated it by sharing that part about the womb.
Oh, I thought that was great. That really adds a lot of clarity. Thank you. Well, I believe that's all we have time for today. So I want to say goodbye, everybody, and happy 4th of July to the U.S. people. And I hope you have a fabulous holiday. And hopefully you can keep us on the radar and join us for the free Dream Clinic on Tuesday the 4th at 9 o'clock Pacific time.
Absolutely. And if you're on my list, which you can get onto by going to dream-analysis.com and downloading the free dictionary that's there, you'll get notified about the free clinics as they're coming up. Take care.